He's not dead.
Why did you let him kill me?
Hey, what's up? Hello. We are back with another episode of Sammy and Creepy. We have a new set and everything. It's a work in progress, okay? Some stuff's going, more stuff's being added. I'm really excited. I now have a PC because Bobby bought me a PC for Christmas, so that is what I'm currently sitting at, my new desk and PC. At some point I think I want to actually start doing lives on this channel where we watch creepy videos and stuff together. But yeah, for now, what I want to talk about is creepy imaginary friend stories. And the reason is because there's a new movie coming out on March 8th called Imaginary. It is about a woman who moves back into her childhood home and her imaginary friend is pretty upset that she left. So basically it's a possessed teddy bear. It was her imaginary friend when she was a child, and it's evil. So I'm really excited for that. It doesn't come out till March 8th, which is a while, but still I'm really excited. But I thought in honor of that, we would read some creepy imaginary friend stories. So I found quite a few on BuzzFeed, actually. BuzzFeed has an article called 18 Creepy Childhood Imaginary Friend Stories. I'll link it. If I forget, remind me, but I'm going to try to remember to link it. If I don't, I will when you remind me, okay? So, I'm going to read you the ones that I find to be the scariest, and if you want to go and read the rest yourself, you can. We're going to start with number 1 because it mentions the Hat Man. When my son was about 3 years old, we were living with my mom in an older apartment. I had always gotten a weird vibe from it. The atmosphere felt heavy and a little oppressive, but I assumed it was just because of the age. However, my son started waking up in the middle of the night and would talk to his friend, who he described as the Hat Man. He would always wake up and tell the Hat Man that he didn't want to go play with him because he was supposed to be asleep, and that he'd see him tomorrow. This was always followed by him waking me up and asking for a glass of water. I knew it wasn't just an imaginary friend when one night I heard him talking, and when he said he'd see him tomorrow, the door to his room closed on its own. This stopped completely once we moved out. Now, if you haven't heard of the Hat Man, he is an actual entity that people experience. I don't remember if I've done a video on the Hat Man or not. If I haven't, I may make one. We'll see. Okay, one day my daughter came home from preschool and told me she had a new friend that joined her classroom named Susha. I didn't think much about it. My daughter would say things like she wanted a colorful backpack like Susha's or hair ribbons like hers. One day, my husband asked the teacher to point out which girl on the playground was Susha, and the teacher told him that there was no such girl. After that, my husband insisted that this was an imaginary friend and discouraged my daughter from mentioning her. It was several months before she brought Susha up again. We went on a trip to Argentina from California, and as we were riding up a glass elevator in the Buenos Aires airport, my daughter suddenly pointed down to a crowd and said, "Look, there's Susha. She followed us here even though Dad told her to go away." Neither myself or my husband saw a child where she was pointing. Susha said, "You're not ditching her." When I was little, I claimed to have an imaginary friend who had light brown hair, wore a nightgown, and had stars for eyes. Well, my niece was living at my old childhood home and told me that she had a friend who misses me and asked why I went away. When I asked her who it was, she described my old imaginary friend. It was so spooky. That is creepy. Oh my. My youngest sister, who was 4 years old at the time, had an imaginary friend named Paris Jarris. My dad had built her a small playhouse in our backyard where my mom could see and hear her while she was in the kitchen. My sister would have tea parties and such with her imaginary friend. One day, my mom heard her say, "Don't worry, as long as I'm alive, they won't hurt you." She paused and said, "Well, if you do that, then I can't help you. It's not nice to kill people." When my mom asked her what that was about, my sister responded, "Sometimes I have to tell Paris to be a nice person or he can't visit anymore." We moved not too long after, and she didn't get a new playhouse. I don't think it was the playhouse that was the problem. Ugh, that's scary. A kid once told me that he didn't want to go to church because his invisible friend said he can't follow him in there. I have a theory. Most of the time when something appears or presents itself as a child, it's not a child. It is a demon, evil entity, whatever you want to call it, presenting as a child to get someone to trust it. Sally from the Sally house, Annabelle, just saying. Oh, this one's called Purple Mommy, and that shit gave me chills. Okay. When my son was first learning to talk, he would tell us about something called Purple Mommy. He described Purple Mommy as all purple with long hair and bright, all white eyes. At that time, he was mixing up purple with black a lot, so he could have meant that she was all black and shadowy. Purple Mommy would pick him up at night and turn off the lights. This creeped me out, as we would often find my son out of his crib in the morning, which would mean him crawling over the railing and to the ground at a time when he was barely walking. I definitely found the lights in his room off a few times too, even though he's terrified of the dark. He also explained that Purple Mommy needed bandages because she had blood everywhere. Purple Mommy could take her head off. And finally, Purple Mommy really didn't like Daddy. He told us all of this stuff for maybe a year or a little more. If we ever asked where she was, he would always point to the same spot, a corner of the room behind his open closet door. He woke up crying almost every night during this time. Once, during a really rough night, my wife went to ask him what's wrong, and his answer was, "Purple Mommy won't let me sleep." Oh no, get that kid out of that room. Get out of that house. When my daughter was a toddler, she randomly started talking about a man named Don. She always described him the same way and didn't seem scared at all, despite bringing him up every day. She didn't go to daycare, and we didn't know anyone named Don, so I have no idea who it could have been. Then one day, she got completely freaked out, wouldn't sleep in her room, and wouldn't walk around the house alone in case she ran into Don. She started talking about how she hated him because he said mean words to her all the time. About a year into Mean Don, we bought a new house. Once we moved, she never spoke of him again. My sister Ashley used to get visited at night by a dead girl with long dark hair and spider hands. This makes me want to bring my my creepy doll out. Yes, this predated The Ring, the movie The Ring, if you haven't seen it. Really good horror movie. And yes, I'm old at AF. Anyway, she moved out the second she turned 18 and never looked back. 20 odd years later, our half-brother Trevor moved into her old room. It wasn't long after that, Trev started sleeping on the sofa or with the lights on and told us about his new friend that he didn't like. She was a dead girl who had long dark hair, an old nightgown, and spider hands. Needless to say, none of us offered to trade rooms with him. Hell no, Trev, you on your own. My oldest daughter had an imaginary friend when she was 4 years old. His name was Jack, and he lived under our back porch. She said he liked to shove sticks down people's throats. I discouraged playtime with Jack. You need to encourage an exorcism on your home. Oh my gosh. Okay, that was the last one that I'm going to read. I picked out the ones that were really creepy. Again, there's 18 of them. I'll link it so you can read them. Also, I want to mention that I do have an email called, it's sparanormal@yahoo.com. I think it's in my description. If you have any creepy stories, any creepy experiences, like any paranormal encounters, any encounters with like SWs, flesh pedestrians, or anything, any Bigfoot, I don't care, any creepy, weird encounter or story that you want to tell me about, please make sure it's your own, because I want to read it on my channel. And if you want to be anonymous, just mention that in the email, but send them to my email, and yeah, I'll read it on my channel. I want to go back to doing subscriber stories sometimes, at least maybe once a week or every other week, something like that. So send me your creepy stories, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it spooked you just enough. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to stay creepy. Bye.